Who is speaking? Hello, dear listeners. You are tuned into Azerbaijan International Radio. We're starting our English broadcast here in the capital of Azerbaijan. Great leader Heydar Aliyev and youth policy. Historically, every nation primarily ties its hopes for a prosperous future to the younger generation. Educating knowledgeable, globally aware youth is a vital issue for any country. This is because a country's future and destiny will depend on today's youth. It's no secret that the foundation of a successful state youth policy in our country was laid by the national leader of our people, Heydar Aliyev. The great leader always pays special attention to youth, consistently addressing their problems, and place significant importance on nurturing a new generation with a high intellectual capacity and a modern worldview. In shaping our youth as individuals and as true Azerbaijani citizens, the founder of modern independent Azerbaijan, national leader Heydar Aliyev, played an undeniable role and rendered invaluable services. As a result of the purposeful policies implemented under his leadership, a generation with high intellectual capacity, patriotism, and a strong sense of national identity was formed in our country. Orduhan Kahramanzadeh, head of the Youth Organizations Department at the Youth Foundation of the Republic of Azerbaijan, shared the following in an interview with International Radio about Heydar Aliyev and youth policy.
Lider Heydər Əliyevin uzaqgörən siyasətinin mühüm tərkib hissəsi olmuş.
National leader Heydar Aliyev placed special emphasis on the development of Azerbaijani youth. The state youth policy, which was established during his leadership, became one of the cornerstones of our country's future successes. The preparation of the legal framework for state youth policy was an essential part of Heydar Aliyev's visionary leadership. Since 1997, under his decree, February 2nd has been celebrated as Youth Day, making Azerbaijan the first country among CIS and Eastern European nations to recognize such a day. To ensure the continuity of state youth policy in 1994, the great leader established the Minister of Youth and Sports as a central executive authority. To further strengthen this policy, in 2011, by the decree of the esteemed President Ilham Aliyev, the Youth Foundation of the Republic of Azerbaijan was founded. Today, Azerbaijani youth play a key role in our country's successes on the international stage. As a result of the great leader's visionary policies, our youth are achieving significant accomplishments in both academic and socio-political spheres, proudly representing our state and national interests on international platforms. The national leader believed in the youth. That belief today is reflected in the success stories of every Azerbaijani young person. Inspired by his ideas, we strive to achieve greater successes for both our country and the world. Continuing this legacy is a duty of each of us. In conclusion, it can be confidently stated that today, in various fields of national life, our youth are demonstrating their knowledge and skills with great success. Heydar Aliyev, founder of Azerbaijani Statehood. Great leader Heydar Aliyev is one of the most prominent figures in the history of Azerbaijan's independent statehood. His primary objective was to establish a strong, modern, and sovereign Azerbaijan. In the face of challenging geopolitical circumstances, Heydar Aliyev safeguarded Azerbaijan's statehood. He developed a modern system of governance and law and implemented vital reforms to solidify the country's independence. Under his leadership, political stability was achieved, and Azerbaijan's reputation on the international stage significantly improved. The unity between the state and its people was a cornerstone of Heydar Aliyev's policies. He demonstrated that a democratic society is unattainable without a stable and robust state. His declaration that Azerbaijan will shape its own destiny became the foundation of the nation's independent state-building philosophy. The national leader drafted a new constitution for modern Azerbaijan, laying the groundwork for democratic development. His dedication to national and spiritual values played a key role in advancing Azerbaijani culture and identity. Through his visionary leadership, Azerbaijan emerged as a tolerant and secular nation. Heydər Əliyev was also a great supporter of Azerbaijani culture and literature. Anar, a renowned people's writer, shared his reflections on this. He stated that he had the privilege of meeting the great leader on numerous occasions and maintained regular communication with him. Anar recalled attending many of Heydər Əliyev's receptions and speaking at events where the leader also delivered speeches. He mentions that during the Soviet era, when Heydər Əliyev traveled to different regions, he often included writers in his delegations, and Anar had the opportunity to join one or two of these trips. Anar further noticed that after Heydər Əliyev became president, he continued this practice on international visits. He remembered accompanying the leader to Moscow, Turkey, Italy, China, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. According to Anar, these experiences allowed him to observe Heydər Əliyev more closely and gain deeper insights into his character. He documented these encounters in his book, Unforgettable Meetings, which was published in both Azerbaijani and Russian. The writer emphasized that the book highlighted Heydər Əliyev's unwavering support for literature, writers, and cultural development. He described how the leader attended literary presentations, provided feedback on their works, and actively participated in exhibitions and concerts. Anar concluded by describing Heydər Əliyev as an extraordinary and inspiring figure who had a profound impact on his life, praying for his soul's peace. Heydər Əliyev's vision continues to be realized under the leadership of President İlham Əliyev. His life and contributions serve as a lasting example for future generations, making Heydər Əliyev an enduring symbol of independent Azerbaijan. Heydər Əliyev and army building. The national leader of the Azerbaijani people, Heydər Əliyev, holds an exceptional role in the history of his nation. He is one of the unique statesmen who assumed the mission of rescuing his people in the most complex circumstances. The resilient Azerbaijani army was formed by Heydər Əliyev, the architect and founder of our modern independent state. The main reason for the rapid development of the Azerbaijani army within a short time, turning it into the strongest force in the region, and successfully organizing it, was Heydər Əliyev's leadership in army building. Deeply committed to Azerbaijan's independence and the national interest of its people, Heydər Əliyev dedicated special attention to army building with his exceptional statecraft, organizational skills, and tireless diligence. In an interview with international radio, Member of Parliament Vüqar İskenderov spoke about the army building efforts of the national leader.
Ulu Öndər hakimiyyətinin ilk illərində
He mentioned, one of the first actions taken by the great leader during his early years in power was launching the process of army building. Even during the Soviet era, by establishing the Jamshid Nakhchivansky Military School, he took crucial steps towards solving the personal issue for the formation of an independent Azerbaijani national army in the future. In our independence period, one of the integral components of Heydər Əliyev's purposeful and decisive policies was the creation of a national army. The foundation of national army, which today guarantees Azerbaijan's sovereignty, border security, and territorial integrity, was laid by the great leader Heydər Əliyev. Of course, this was a very challenging and time-consuming process. However, Heydər Əliyev's foresight and deep knowledge in this area enabled him to overcome this difficult task more quickly. Today, Azerbaijan is proud to be recognized as one of the world's strongest and most victorious nations. Under the supreme command of our president, Mr. İlham Əliyev, our glorious army has brought out this pride and victory. Today, the Azerbaijani army is ranked among the 50 strongest armies in the world. And we believe that in the future we will achieve even higher positions because the necessary steps are still being taken today. We believe that this process will continue in a sustainable manner. Indeed, it is no coincidence that today the entire Azerbaijani nation takes pride in its national leader, considering him the chief architect of all the comprehensive achievements the country has attained. The main obstacle to a peace agreement between Azerbaijan and Armenia. An international conference titled The Main Obstacle to a Peace Agreement between Azerbaijan and Armenia was organized at the Center of the Analysis of International Relations, where several key issues were addressed. The discussions highlighted that the liberation of Azerbaijani territories occupied by Armenia in 2020 and 2023, along with the full restoration of sovereignty, has created opportunities for peace. However, Armenia's position regarding the recognition of Azerbaijan's territorial integrity and sovereignty remains ambiguous. Armenia's territorial claims against Azerbaijan are embedded in its constitution, the country's highest legal authority, as well as in other legislative documents. For instance, the Declaration of Independence, adopted by Armenia on August 23, 1990, refers to a decision made by the Supreme Council of the Armenian SSR on December 1, 1989, which conceded Karabakh an integral part of Armenia. This assertion was later incorporated into the preamble of the Armenian constitution adopted on July 5, 1995, and has been preserved through amendments in 2005 and 2015. Key issues raised at the conference. Deputy Foreign Minister Elnur Mammadov emphasized during his speech that Armenia hasn't yet defined its borders clearly. He noticed that Armenia had occupied Azerbaijani territories for 30 years. After these territories were liberated, Azerbaijan proposed a peace agreement, which is unusual for a victorious side in a conflict. He explained that Azerbaijan has actively worked towards drafting a peace treaty. However, two main obstacles remain. The first, Armenia's constitution, which continues to make territorial claims against Azerbaijan. And the second, Armenia's attempts to internationalize issues that should be resolved bilaterally. Mammadov added that Azerbaijan is committed to negotiations and has consistently urged Armenia to refrain from bringing these disputes to the international arena. Remarks by Farid Shefiev. Farid Shefiev, chairman of the board of the Center for the Analysis of International Relations, highlighted that Azerbaijan's efforts for peace began long before 2020. He stated that the roots of the conflict stretch back over a century. While the liberation of Azerbaijan territories has created conditions for peace, Armenia's lack of clarity regarding its commitment to respecting Azerbaijan's sovereignty poses a significant challenge. Shefiev described Armenia's actions as inconsistent and lacking sincerity. He referred to recent statements made by Armenia at the OSCE ministerial meeting in Malta, where Armenian representatives claimed to have no territorial claims against Azerbaijan and expressed willingness to respect the Almaty Declaration. They even suggested disregarding constitutional provisions to facilitate a peace agreement. However, at the same time, Armenia advocated for the continuation of the Minsk Group under the OSCE framework, despite the fact that the Minsk Group hasn't been active for the past 4 years due to the resolution of the conflict. Shefiev concluded that Armenia's contradictory behavior undermines trust and hinders progress toward a lasting peace agreement.